video showing people how to do that. That might help somebody.
Yeah, it probably might. Where you at here?
If I did, it would probably go a little bit something like this. I'm going to show you how to put a wheel bearing in pretty much any front wheel drive car. I think they're pretty much all the same. Every one I've ever seen has been the same. Just different sizes of, you know, sockets, different size bolts. It's pretty much all the same. But just to show you how I do it, let's just get into it here. Okay, so as you can see, the tire has been liberated from the car, and the wheel bearing itself is right in here. It's this whole hub assembly. It comes off as one piece. I have to take this nut off to get to it, or to get the axle out. This is the CV shaft. You can see back here is a little drive shaft, CV shaft, that goes to the transmission. That's what provides power to your front wheel. You have to take this off and knock that back in there a little bit. Have to take the brakes off. Have to take everything off that restricts that from coming off of there. So to do that, of course, you're going to need your new bearing, new hub assembly. Be a good idea to have some penetrating fluid. Breaker bar would be nice. Also, for whatever size your brakes take, this one is a 3/8 and it works on it. So that's what I'm going to use for that. And to take that big nut off, that is a 30mm, and I have a big deep well socket. And here is the old hammer. You will need this. Of course, something to take the lug nuts off with, which one of them is trying to escape. So we will put that over here so it don't get away. Anyway, as you can see, I have it jacked up and I have a block under it for support. It's very important. Don't ever get underneath a vehicle when it's not supported in some manner other than just a jack, because the jack can curl over and can mess you up pretty good. I'd also recommend having a bottle of tea, you know, I mean, because that's always handy. But anyway, oh yeah, one more thing that is highly recommended, but not really required, is a Luke Fugit YouTube shirt. You know, it helps with the job, you know, just makes everything go so much easier. Not really, that's just, I kind of had this made up. But anyway, let's get back to it. Okay, right back in here is where you will find, well, some cobwebs too. But this is where you will find your bolts to hold your brakes on. Make sure that is in the right direction, and you notice when I do bang on the ratchet, I always use the handle of the hammer instead of that, because if you use the actual hammer head, you end up messing up your knurled surface here, which really probably doesn't matter that much, but that's just the way I always do it. Wasn't real long ago I put brakes on this car, but now is a good time to check your brakes and make sure that everything looks good. And notice I set the brake caliper on the wood block back here. The reason I do that, instead of, well, it's handy, but another reason I do that is because you never want to just hang it from the hose. You don't want to have it just sitting here hanging and putting stress on this hose. Okay, that comes off pretty easy. Flip it over. It's also new. And as you can see, it is not supposed to shake. Or it's desirable for it not to shake. I would rather have it not shake. But it was growling at me too. So when it starts growling at you, it's usually time to replace it. Okay, next step, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this nut off. And I am going to use my impact to take it off. Just like this. There it is. There's also a little nut in there. And you can see this one is already loose. But if this doesn't come loose, like this easy, sometimes they're stuck in there. Sometimes you can take, I wouldn't take a hammer and hit directly on that. Usually what I will do is I'll take a 2x4 and put on it and hit the 2x4. And that knocks it loose and you don't booger your threads up. Alright. Yeah, the wheel bearing should not make noise, and it shouldn't move around like that. Okay, next thing, I'm going to put the car in neutral. Before you do this, always make sure it is blocked up, emergency brake is on, and it cannot move. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put the transmission in neutral. Now I should be able to turn, yeah, I can turn the wheel or the bearing. There's a little bit of slop in that, so I'm going to have to replace that soon. Let me see if I got the right size here. That one is not. Right here maybe. Will it fit in there? Yeah. Alright. It usually takes a star. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I don't have the star the right shape, but I have this, and it is a 5/16. And it goes in there pretty tight. So I'm thinking that it should work. Okay. Now as you can see, I'm going through these holes. That's why these holes are here. There are 3 holes in here. These are what lines up with the bolts. Very handy. Okay. First thing, we got that will fit. Take your penetrating oil, and these bolts go through this spindle, and the hole is on the other side. But you can spray around on all of them. Okay, now, first off, I'm going to break them loose with this, or try to. Yep, there it goes. Not bad at all. That was pretty easy, actually. Something to note here. These holes are smaller than the other hole. So, okay. Okay, there's another one. And another one. Okay, now, to get this loose, Do not hit this, okay? You need to. This one's already loosening up. I'm just showing you. Sometimes you'll have to go in the back and beat on it. But this one loosened up pretty easy. Okay. Yeah, you can't really see much, but I'm going to actually save this old one because I have a plan for it. And you will see that in another video. But it still works as a bearing. Now, next step, what you want to do is you want to take the old one and the new one, and you want to compare them. You can tell that they are made the same. It's always a good idea, first off, to check and make sure before you start putting it on. Some places, if it's all greasy, they won't take it back. So make sure that you test it out first. And then, see all this rust that is around here? I mean, this bearing went out pretty prematurely. I mean, this is a Chevy, and it's only got like 220,000 miles on it. You know, Chevys usually last at least 1 million miles, so I don't know. Well, anyway, need to take something like a piece of sandpaper, wire brush, something like that, and go in here and clean this really good. Okay, now next, very important, take a little bit of grease, put it around. Okay. Okay, now that you have a light coating of grease on everything, I think I'm even going to go around the part itself and line it up with the splines and turn this until the bolt holes line up. And the way you got it apart, that's the way you put it together. I don't think that's going to be coming off. Alright, now, the installation of the brakes, same thing we did earlier, exactly. Only this time do it in reverse, of course. Okay, after replacing the wheel bearing, before just getting in, starting it up, throwing it in drive and taking off, pump your brakes a few times. Start your engine and pump the brakes, because you have just compressed the brake caliper a little bit, and the first couple of times you step on the brakes, you may actually not have any brakes. So don't just go taking off, because until you pump it a few times, you're probably not going to have any brakes. So let's give it a try. Yep, it's got brakes. Now, best thing to do, take it out for a test drive. Go drive in an area you've been on before, so there's no surprises. And just make sure that everything feels right. There's no need for a front end alignment, because you didn't change anything to change your alignment. So everything should be still the same. After you drove about 40 or 50 miles, check your lug nuts, make sure they're still tight, because sometimes just the vibration of driving can cause the lug nuts to loosen up a little bit, and you got to retorque them. It's no big deal, but just something to keep in mind. That's about it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.